program is brought to you by Newsworks in cooperation with the City of Eau Claire. This program is simulcast on WRFP-LP 101.9 FM. The Eau Claire City Council meeting will return in a moment. Newsworks is made possible by continuing community support. If you would like to volunteer or make a donation, please contact us via phone at 715-839-5067 or online at valleymediaworks.org. This program is simulcast on WRFP-LP 101.9 FM. We now return you to the Eau Claire City Council meeting.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Beaton.
Here.
Berge.
Here.
Christofferson.
Here.
Emmanuel.
Here.
Gregert.
Here.
Strobel.
Here.
Weld.
Here.
Worthman.
Here.
Jean.
Here.
Thank you, Clerk, and welcome everyone to our, June 10th City Council meeting. This legislative session of the Eau Claire City Council. This evening we have a fairly short meeting, but I'm sure there will be some good discussion this evening. I want to welcome everyone to City Hall this evening and remind folks that Valley Media Works live streams these proceedings at valleymediaworks.org if you were not able to make it this evening. First up for our agenda is the consent agenda. Is there any council member who wishes to remove a specific item on the consent agenda for separate consideration? Seeing no such desire, then on a motion by Councilmember Strobel, seconded by Councilmember Anderson, the consent agenda has been moved and is open for discussion. Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Beaton.
Aye.
Berge.
Aye.
Christofferson.
Aye.
Emmanuel.
Aye.
Gregert.
Aye.
Strobel.
Aye.
Weld.
Aye.
Worthman.
Aye.
Jean.
Aye.
And that motion passes. Consent agenda is passed. We move now to our business agenda. On the business agenda, item number 11 is a resolution regarding local vehicle registration fee. And I think how we'll handle this is, because this is something that is being brought forward by Councilmember Beaton and myself, that I will maybe just say a few words regarding it, and then let Councilmember Beaton say a few words. And then if council members want to ask questions of the city manager to get clarity on it, that would be great. Councilmember Emmanuel.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'll be abstaining from this and will excuse myself from chambers until the vote's over.
Okay. Thank you. So for item number 11, just a little bit of background. This is something that is being brought forward for consideration. I think generally in the spirit of opening up a dialogue about the vehicle registration fee and its potential impacts on city residents specifically, who we all represent. I think we're all hugely aware of the needs that we have for our roads, both in the city and in the county. And so it's worth keeping in mind that roughly 430 miles of road, I believe it is, are maintained by the county of Eau Claire. The city, we have roughly 350 miles of road. Both governing bodies, both elected bodies have a huge interest in making sure that we're keeping our roads maintained and safe and figuring out how we fund that. And in the greater context of shared revenues, which are declining year by year from the state, that burden is being pushed to the local level for us to figure out how to raise revenues, how to keep our communities nice, how to keep our roads safe. So in that context, and knowing that we're trying to wrestle with the best way that we can essentially figure out how to create the funding to make sure that our roads are paid for, comes this proposal from the county to increase, potentially, if passed, increase a vehicle registration fee of $30 on all vehicles in the county. As you will see in the resolution, I a key part of this is the fact that 72% of the vehicles registered in our county are actually within the city limits. But as it is proposed, the fee collected would not be coming into the city limits to fix roads that folks drive on every day who are going to be paying this. So that is where I think we start. This resolution is a hope for dialogue, a hope that the county considers options as they move forward in a number of days to work on this. And hopefully you've all read the resolution and the intent of it. I think the other thing about this is the public education piece. And that's the fact that through the news, through social media, through word of mouth, folks are starting to understand a little more about this. That's part of the reason this is coming forward, is the fact that it's always good when folks have a good idea of what elected government is doing. And this resolution, without a doubt, is trying to help that narrative to essentially put the facts out there so folks know what this is all about. So I'll let Councilmember Beaton say a few words about this, and then we'll open it up to questions for the city staff. Councilmember Beaton.
Thank you, Council President Worthman. Just to add, I think that Council President Worthman said it very well, but just to add, I want to kind of recognize that we all have known, I think we've all recognized or experienced in our life when a decision, the best decision comes together when all stakeholders are at the table. And I think that this is our opportunity to get stakeholders to the table when it comes to county residents who are also city residents. So getting the county together with the city to have this conversation about what the best decision might be. I don't personally have any expectations of what will necessarily come out of that, but I think that a vehicle registration fee is important enough and big enough to warrant those conversations to happen. And so I think that this is this is a time for us to advocate for our constituents here in the city and to insist that that all of us, the city and the county, handle this vehicle registration fee equitably between county and city residents. So I hope you will consider voting for it.
Thank you, Councilmember Beaton. Do council members have questions, clarifying questions about this resolution to either myself, Councilmember Beaton, or to City Manager Peters or others? Councilmember Weld.
Thank you, Council President, Vice President. So if we were to approve this resolution, then what's next? Or there's a conversation between the county and staff, or a conversation between the council and the county board, or what does that look like?
I'll defer to the City Manager on that.
The resolution as presented is an ask of the county to engage in a conversation around potentially sharing the revenue, and generally how that would work is the county would respond to that in some way, and I would anticipate that that response might be giving some parameters or direction to the county administrator, who would then sit down with myself, and we would talk about it and see where we might be able to go with it.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Zhang.
Well, thank you. I was wondering, is there any public hearing be done for this request, or are we just
For this resolution?
Yes.
No.
To
Councilmember
add,
Beaton?
to be super clear though, there is a public hearing, I believe, for the vehicle registration fee itself on the county level. So the vehicle registration fee is a decision being made by the county, and they have a public process involved with that. So.
Certainly. Councilmember Berge.
Turn that on. Would now there's a committee, if I'm correct, with the county and city, is it called the Shared Services Committee? Would that be involved with this process at all, or not?
My understanding is that it could be, and I think that's sort of a decision for the committee and for city and county administrators to figure out if that's the appropriate venue. But City Manager, do you want to add to that as well?
No, I'd have nothing to add.
Further, Councilmember Gregor?
Thank you, Council President Worthman. I guess I had a question maybe for staff about what the what dialogue has already occurred with the county on this particular subject, because obviously it doesn't necessarily require a resolution for dialogue to occur. So I guess I thought I would see if anything has already happened.
City Manager?
Thank you, Vice President. At this point, there's been very limited communication, on the topic at the staff level.
And I know that, at least for myself, I've called, put out calls to a number of county board members individually, but haven't been able to call all 29 of them, I'll admit. Any other questions? City
I
Manager?
just add to that, it's primarily because of just timing and people's schedules and the way things came up. It would be the reason that, there's not been communication directly yet.
Councilmember Strobel?
Thanks. So it's my understanding we're really not here to talk about the merits of the wheel tax or to necessarily tell the county exactly what to do. But if they do this, we're trying to get what we consider to be our fair share for our city residents. And I can support that. I may throw this out at all of you before I offer an amendment, but there's part of it I would like to see removed that I think doesn't belong here, and that's the last bullet point. I think telling the county to reduce their registration fee to $10 so that the city can consider adding a $10 fee really sort of defeats the purpose of asking them to share the fee that they're going to impose. And I don't think it's necessarily on point with what we're trying to get across here. So I guess I don't feel like that part of it belongs in the resolution. So I guess when it gets that time, I'll talk about that maybe.
Thank you, Councilmember. And that's definitely more of a item to be taken up during the discussion. So, Councilmember Beaton. Sorry, did you ever? I couldn't see your light.
Yeah. If I could clear some language up a little bit, respectfully, Councilmember Strobel, the now therefore be it resolved reads possible shared arrangements using an intergovernmental agreement could include, and so it's my understanding that these are suggestions for something that could come out of conversations between the county and the city, and not something that we're necessarily requesting of the county right now.
Thank you, Councilmember Beaton. If there aren't further questions, and we can still ask clarifying questions, once this has been moved, I'm going to move this item myself and with Councilmember Beaton to the floor, and we can continue dialogue on these points. Councilmember Strobel, do you want to bring that amendment forward or have that dialogue? Councilmember Strobel.
Thank you. I'll just make a motion to remove the last bullet point in the resolution for the reasons I sort of stated before. I even though it's got some wording in here, I think it's a little bit off topic with what we're trying to do as far as sharing expenses with them, because we're saying, you charge $10 and then we can charge $10. But I really, or is it they charge 10 and we get 7 of that, and plus we can do this. I feel it maybe takes away a little bit from the resolution with what we're trying to get to, and that's my motion, if I can get a second on it.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Anderson. Do you want to speak further to it, Councilmember Strobel? Okay, you still have your light on. I'll speak to that. I'm not strong on either way if we want to remove this. The main reason this is in there is because I think we all recognize that if the county were to pass a $30 vehicle registration fee, the possibility or chance for us to realistically pass any amount is pretty much off the table. So it doesn't give us that possibility if we wanted to. But I understand that this, in some ways, signals that we're interested in it, and we haven't had that discussion, and we haven't gone down that path. So I'm not really strongly, I don't think it has to stay in there to deliver the message.
Thank you.
Councilmember Beaton.
I sort of feel the same way. I just, I'm not sure that removing it would necessarily remove our option. I wouldn't, but I also wouldn't want to limit our options either. And I'm not sure that removing it from the resolution does limit our options, but, you know, I think it does send the message that that's something we're less interested in, at least. So I kind of feel either way, too.
Seeing no further discussion at this time on the amendment, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Beaton,
No.
Berge,
Aye.
Christofferson,
Aye.
Grigert,
Aye.
Strobel,
Aye.
Weld,
Aye.
Worthman,
Aye.
Zhang,
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
And that amendment passes on a 9-1 vote. We are back to the main resolution. Are there further comments, amendments, discussion? Council? You guys are quiet this evening. That's good. Do you have anything further, Councilmember Strobel?
I'll support the amendment. I appreciate you bringing it forward. I think it's appropriate that we look to get our fair share of any funds that the citizens are contributing that aren't going to fix our roads. So I think it's absolutely a fair resolution and a fair ask of the county. So I appreciate the movers, and I will support it.
Thank you. I'll ask for further comment, but seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Berge,
Aye.
Christofferson,
Aye.
Grigert,
Aye.
Strobel,
Aye.
Weld,
Aye.
Worthman.
Aye.
Zhang,
Aye.
Anderson,
Aye.
Beaton.
Aye.
And that resolution passes on a 10-0 vote. Thank you all for the discussion. And I think, my apologies, 9-0. I think going forward, we're going to, I think, potentially, hopefully see a response from the county as well. And there's definitely opportunities, I think, moving forward for dialogue and figuring out how this message can be a constructive piece of the discussion moving forward on this. So thank you all. Moving on to our ordinances for introduction. Number 12 regarding zoning is ordinance rezoning properties located on 5514 and 5540 Cindy Court Road, and that's 3640, 3624, 3604, 3934 Flynn Place, and then also on 5537, 5523, 5511 Normandale Road, and additionally on 5415 Christopher Road, Christopher Drive from TR1A to R2. And we won't have a presentation on that tonight because it's for introduction. Number 13 on the agenda is an ordinance rezoning property in the northeast corner of LaSalle Street and Gooder Street from P to R1. We also have an ordinance for introduction, number 14, which is an ordinance rezoning property located on 420 Franklin Street from R2 to R3P, and to adopt a general development plan for the duplex. And number 15, ordinance rezoning property located at 1542 Airport Road from TR1A to R1A. Those have been read into the record. And we move on now to announcements and directives from the city manager and city council. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Vice President Worthman. At your table, we put a calendar of events, and maybe just to briefly go over that, because there's been some confusion and some changes. The CIP, for a variety of reasons, has been pushed a little further into the summer than usual, so it's actually overlapping with the operating budget. So tonight, following this legislative meeting, we will have just a presentation, introduction of the CIP that was sent to you last week. And then next week, on Tuesday, is the first work session related to the CIP. And then Thursday will be the operating budget priorities and parameters, work session. So, and then you can see the rest of them as they follow through there. But we wanted to clarify that, get the big, bold, clear language in front of you, and apologize for any confusion with the scheduling of these work sessions going forward. So,
Thank you, City Manager Peters. Would I be able to ask a follow-up question as well?
absolutely.
If folks are interested in coming and speaking at these, how does that work? Because I know normally these aren't open for public discussion.
That's correct. As work sessions, they are opportunities for the council to work on the item. All of these items, well, I guess there's two here, the CIP and the budget, will have, a public hearing component to them before you actually adopt them, and that would be the point in time where, the public can weigh in on either of those two documents.
Thank you. Other follow-up questions or statements or directives from council? Councilmember Weld.
Just an update on our schedule for moving and meetings.
Sure.
Thank you, City Manager.
Yep, absolutely. So you'll see that if you look at the August meeting, the first meeting in August, actually it's on here, the August 14th meeting, and I appreciate you bringing that up, Councilmember Will, because I wanted to mention it. So the first meeting of the City Council at the county courthouse will be that first meeting in August, the August 14th meeting. And so you can see that you'll actually have a business meeting there on the 14th, but then we'll also have the work session that's in a different room. So we are working hard to get packed up and ready to go. It's happening here just in a couple of weeks. So we're assembling 100 years worth of stuff and sorting it out. You'll see that you're the recipients actually of some of that. We found some old stationery we thought you might like to have. So rather than recycling it, we'll give it to you, and you can choose whether you want to recycle it or not. But yeah, the move is coming along. We've been having tours out at the facility for the employees, and if you happen to be walking through City Hall, you'll see there's a lot of boxes and a lot of labels, and apologize for the confusion, but we're gearing up for the move.
Thank you, City Manager. Councilmember Emanuel.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. This is maybe a process question about the meetings that we have. And so on our document, it says that we have, in some parentheses, it says some meetings if necessary. So I'm wondering if the city manager could provide us some guidance of how, what is the process going to be for determining if we'll continue to have a meeting or not?
Thank you, Councilmember Emanuel. So we provide some flexibility depending on really the amount of discussion that council wants to have. So we are, for example, the work session next week on the CIP. We're going to put together a presentation that potentially could wrap it up after one work session. But we've left some flexibility so that if as a council you feel you need more time, we've built that in so that it's not a surprise and we're not saying how do we schedule that. But so with the CIP, we're going to put it together in such a way that one work session might get it done, but that really will depend on the amount of discussion or questions or feedback that you have in the process.
Thank you so much. Any further questions, announcements, directives? Seeing none, this meeting will be adjourned on a motion by Councilmember Weld and Councilmember Emanuel. Hearing no opposition, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. And we're adjourned.
This program was brought to you by a cooperation between Newsworks and the City of Eau Claire. A transcript of this meeting is available for the hearing impaired. It will be available within 7 days of this telecast. Call 715-839-4912 or TDD 715-839-1689. Or write Eau Claire City Clerk, P.O. Box 5148, Eau Claire, Wisconsin 54702-5148. Newsworks is made possible by continuing community support. If you would like to volunteer or make a donation, please contact us via phone at 715-839-5067 or online at valleymediaworks.org.